What's up, everyone? Nice to meet you. This is my first time using the camera for one of these videos, so just want to introduce myself since you're seeing me in the flesh. But today, per request, we are going to be doing a hero overview on Eironn. Eironn is a wilder unit who uses agility-based attacks, which basically just means they equipped agility equipment. They are a ranger class, and then they are considered an AoE primary role according to the game. I would say there probably should be some CC in that description as well, but that's Eironn. Let's look at his abilities, starting with his ultimate. So his ultimate, Eironn combines both of his blades into one and hacks at his enemies, dealing damage equal to 270% of his attack rating. Eironn then summons an ice tornado that remains on the battlefield for 5 seconds. Enemies caught in it receive damage equal to 140% of Eironn's attack rating and get knocked back, and while losing 20 haste for 3 seconds. This is pretty similar to his abilities in the base game. Not much to really be said about that. Vortex. Eironn uses elemental powers to generate a powerful gust of wind that draws on all enemies standing within a certain range of himself, which deals 160% damage to them. This is a similar concept of pulling in other units. This is what was made the 5-pull comp back in the day, really popular. And this is what is kind of like his bread and butter. That's what people are going to be using it for. They're going to put him in the back middle. He's going to go up and he's going to pull the team together. That's kind of what he does. This actually did get some tweaks compared to his previous version, where basically he will be doing a little more damage. Not to get into the weeds of things, but damage will be a little bit higher and scales a little differently than in the previous game. Twin Force. This is a long one, but when attacking with his ice blade, Eironn deals damage equal to 150% of his attack rating to all enemies standing in front of him, causing them to lose 60 haste for 4 seconds. This haste thing is a little new. Previously, it would freeze enemies in front of him and it would slow them. So the haste is kind of like a new addition to this ability. When attacking with his wind blade, Eironn attacks a single enemy target, knocking them backwards, dealing damage equal to 180% of his attack rating. The wind blade also inflicts additional damage equal to 15% of the enemy target's current health, not to exceed 400% of his attack rating. And then you can see some of, like, as you level up, basically it's just more and more damage. So this is a little different too, as far as like the damage ratings go. This will be doing a little more damage than the previous game. But overall, pretty similar concept. And then his passive increases Eironn's attack rating by 15% in battle. His attacks have a 30% chance to deal true damage that can be critical and deal 30% more damage to controlled enemies. And then level 2, 50% chance to crit and deal true damage, and then attack rating goes up. So basically, as you level him up and kind of grow him, he is just going to be doing more damage and a little bit more CC. And that is kind of what he's used for. He's a great unit. I would definitely, he's in my next, after I finish Mishka, I'm going to plan on upgrading him to Ascended in my quest to get a soul. But I'm excited to start using him. At the end of this video, I'm going to have a short kind of snippet about the 5-pull comp and how you could potentially use this in Companions and see if it works well for you or not. There are some pretty easily achievable units that you could use as like a base comp for this, and so it's not the hardest thing to pull off. But the biggest thing is having him upgraded. You know, it's going to work better if he's Ascended. So that's kind of the big pull of the 5-pull comp. If we look at his signature item, so classic attribute buff as you level it. Elemental Surge has a chance to freeze enemies for 2 seconds. So this freezing thing was in the ability before, but now it's kind of just thrown into the signature item. And then ultimate skill, not knock back enemies that are already frozen. My guess is that is kind of thrown in there because they don't want his ult and his other abilities to kind of clash, where you're knocking them back, but you kind of want to pull them in at the same time. And so it's probably to kind of like encourage you to upgrade a signature item. That way, if they're frozen, they stay frozen, they stay where they are, and they can continue to be pulled in through his abilities. And then as it gets higher, it's just damage. And then freezing time is increased to 4 seconds. So I would say it's probably worth getting this up to 30 if you plan on maxing them out. just if you wanted to kind of want him to function as best as he can. And so I would say that's where I would recommend putting him at. Now, as far as areas and companions where I think Eironn will really thrive, anything that is gonna where the 5-pole comp will basically be beneficial. So tower, campaign, probably forked road, and you could probably even use him at the beginning, like early to mid game in some other instances, like Twisted Realm or even the clan boss. You know, he's not going to be like the best possible unit for clan boss, but if you have him built out, he could be someone you could throw in there with Leica and do some decent damage early on. Now in game, there's going to be better comps for that, but like he isn't just like total garbage in other areas. So and he's also like going to be good in just like events in general that have 5 units on your team, 5 units on another team. That's basically where he thrives. He's pretty good in arena with the right comp, so you have to have him with the right comp. I mean, you could obviously throw him in if he's ascended and not with like the perfect comp. He will still do well, especially in the lower kind of ranking of things. But, you know, if he's like one of the first units you kind of built out, like he'll do great in arena if you have him in the back middle. That's where you want him to have him. So that's Eironn. Hopefully that was helpful. Next, we're going to kind of look at the 5-pole comp briefly, just to give you an example of what that might look like and how that might work. So you can see this is kind of the gist of the comp. You have Eironn in the middle. He'll go in the middle. He'll pull everyone together. Rowan's here as kind of like a healer / ability haste, energy provider. He also is just tanky because he can't die right away, which is nice. Leica on the top being covered by my owl. She is, you know, the attack buff she provides is super nice, especially as, you know, he's leveled up and can actually do more damage. But she also does a lot of AoE damage, which is nice. Ideally, her ult won't push everyone like away, but will kind of keep them pulled in. And then he is Chicken Bird Man Mauler guy. I'm so bad with these names. I only know the names of the units I use a lot. But Chicken Bird Man is really great with him because he also has like a CC that pulls people together. And so the goal is to kind of get a chain CC process going where Eironn procs his ult and then later he procs his, and the enemy team is kind of stuck in these CCs and they can't do much. And then he's just kind of here for tanky support. You could sub him in for Brutus. You could put Leica here, and then let's see, maybe Mishka here. Like you could kind of fiddle around and just kind of see what works best, and it could be just based on who you have built out the most. But this is not going to work because he's not upgraded at all. He's just going to die right away. So I'm not going to show you like the actual battle. Unfortunately, I can't because he's just going to die. But that's what it would look like as an example of a 5-pole. Hopefully that helps. But appreciate you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, like and subscribe, and keep an eye out for the next video, which will be a Hypogene tier list video.